Ryan, I told you last week I was going to have my top 5 MC Escher drawings this week.
So what do you?
And you thought that that was the name of a rapper, but
well,
it's
you know,
not.
MC Hammer, everybody knows him, right?
No, this is MC Escher.
Usher.
His name was Maurits Cornelius Escher. He was a Dutch graphic artist and somewhat of a mathematician.
I wonder if he signed his name really fancy. Like.
No, not really. It's more in block letters. You can see it on some of the drawings. So, you may have seen this drawing. So this is called Drawing Hands. I don't remember when I first saw this. It was in my public school days, and I was definitely interested immediately because, you know, it's not something that you just look at it and look away. It's like, oh, wow, there's a lot of things going on there, and then how does that happen? And the philosophical implications engaged me.
Well, that's good, because you could look at it and go,
kind of child I was.
2 hands. But then if you really look, you realize what's going on.
No, you don't. You never do. You never completely realize what's going on. That's the thing
no,
about the drawing.
You know that it's not just 2 hands sitting there.
Goodness.
You realize 2 hands are drawn.
Right. Don't rationalize it. It's art. Okay, now, my 5 favorites.
Okay, 5 favorites.
Not in order, so this is not my number 1 or number 5, just 5 that I really, really like.
You don't have a number 1?
This one is called Belvedere.
Belvedere.
Okay, so you look at it. Have you seen this before?
I think so.
Okay, this one's called Belvedere. So what do you notice?
Is he a butler?
Who?
I don't know. I can't see the picture.
My goodness, I can't believe you see such different things.
Let me see the picture.
What do you see?
There's a guy climbing up a ladder.
Great things, these are black and white since you don't really see color, so you're not really going to miss anything.
The guy's climbing up a ladder and there's a guy in jail.
Yes.
Is it all the same? No, it's not the same guy.
You don't see anything unique or interesting about this drawing?
Not seeing what you're seeing, I'm guessing. No. What am I supposed to be seeing?
Well, is this platform looking out in this direction? He's looking out that way, right?
Yeah.
And yet this, which is stacked right over top of it, is looking out this way.
Okay.
How'd that work?
Well, he's a good architect.
The bottom platform's going this way, but the top is going that way, completely different directions.
You've obviously never done construction before. Come on.
No, this is not about construction. All right, this one's called Relativity.
Relativity.
This one will really...
I've seen this one.
So,
I enjoy this one.
A lot of these drawings, if you look at them once, if you just look at one corner of it, it makes sense. And you look at a different corner, and you are struggling to make sense of it because people are going in all these different directions, and some are upside down. But gravity seems to suck everyone to the floor of whatever plane they're walking on.
Yes.
So that's what I like about these drawings.
What's the next one?
The next one's called Waterfall, similar to Belvedere. Follow the path of the water.
Oh,
and
yes.
think in terms of gravity. And you can see that it's a physical impossibility, and yet you see it on the page, and it seems to be working.
It would be cool if it did work that way, because that would be like an eternal use of energy.
Maybe Karen can give you a summer project to create this waterfall. I will suggest that to her.
Yeah.
This one, and then he's got some that are not so much optical illusions, as this one's called Day and Night, and they just change so gradually that, again, you can look at one slice of it, and the right side appears to be night, the left side appears to be day, and somehow he's drawn the birds, crossing over each other. Half of them are going into night, half of them are going into day, and yet it's perfectly symmetrical as well. Just lovely. And then the last one is called Convex and Concave. He didn't go with really artsy titles. He just sort of called them what they look like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the stair one again, but not
very similar to that. And then if you, some of these have pop culture implications. So that one, for example, was created or recreated as a Lego structure.
Yes.
And I don't know exactly how that was done.
I don't know how they did
whether
it.
Whether that's an actual physical structure, whether that's graphic design.
Oh, they did it, yeah.
So, MC Escher, look it up online. Very interesting stuff. I've been fiddling with these drawings. I have books at home. I have puzzles. Just fascinates me. But apparently it's not for everybody. That's fine, Ryan.
I can't draw, so
I can't either.
I can't do that. So.
But I can look at drawings.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you can look at drawings.
All right, let's talk about John 13.
John 13, specifically the whole thing?
You've done a little bit of study in John 13, verses 31 to 35, I believe. Why don't you give those a read?
Yeah, you want me to read them? Okay. Starting in verse 31 of John 13. When he was gone, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself, and will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you a little longer. You will look at me, and just as I told the Jews, so I will tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come. A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another.
One of your key points of emphasis was that people don't know that you love them because you say you love them, but because you show it to them. So saying I love you is important. Saying that to people, saying that to your kids, to your wife, your family, your friends. But is it equally important to show that you love them, or is it more important to show that you love them?
I think there has to be a good balance, because there's a lot of people, and dealing with some of the people I've dealt with in the past, they've heard from family members or whatever that have really abused them and said, no, I love you, and then turn around and they're hitting them, they're emotionally abusing them or anything. They don't match up.
So they're contradictory statements.
Yeah, so they have to match up. If you're going to say I love you to somebody, like you gotta show it, and that happens in many different ways for many different people. I mean, getting up and going outside and shoveling the walk at my house, I'm showing that I care for my family. I'm showing that I care for strangers coming in. I'm showing that all of that, and so I want to have that open. But it's not just I get up and shovel the walk. There's more to it than that, and I think that happens in a lot of our lives in how we do things. I mean, the fact that you come home and your wife has cooked you a meal, or your husband's cooked you a meal, or whatever, that's showing love. That's all part of it. But yet that's part of everyday normal stuff. But there has to be a connection with that. You can't just say I love you and have people like, oh, okay, sure, I'll believe it.
So that's in the context of our families, who we see every day and interact with. What about in the context of the church? How do we both say that we love each other and show each other that we love each other?
Yeah, and with the church, it's one of those things too, because if you don't have a good relationship with somebody, like, and I've seen this happen many times where I don't know many people in the church. We have a large church, and I'm still getting to know many people. But after a service, well, pre-COVID, you could stand at the back and people would shake your hand like, thanks for the service, whatever, and thank you. Like, I could tell those people that I love them, but they don't know me. I don't know them yet, right? Yeah. Like, so you got to build those relationships and do that. So it is part of community, getting to know one another, sharing with one another, helping each other out. I mean, when we moved from St. Thomas to Elmer, and I just said, hey, would anybody be able to help us? We had more help than we could use. Like, that was just an expression to us. Like, people cared about us, wanted to be a part of our lives, and were just loving on us by something simply as coming and lifting a box. Yeah. Like, that's part of the love that we need to share with her.
So, like, both in our families as fathers and in the church as pastors, if we were just to constantly tell people, hey, we love you, but they didn't see us, we didn't spend time with them, we didn't go pray with them or reach out to them or make ourselves available, then they would have really no reason to believe that we love them. Yeah, we could say the words, but they'd be pretty hollow if we didn't show it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it has to be put into action, and love isn't a noun. Love is a verb, and love has action to it, and has to be a part of that. I mean, even Jesus saying that he loves us. Okay, great, but what did he do for us?
Right, and the ultimate proof of that was laying his life down. Yeah, which we then take as our model of obedience, and that's what you talked about that as well, that obedience is always the right path. Like, that's what made him Jesus, that he was 100% obedient all the time, and that's what we were trying to model as well. Yeah.
And it's not easy, and sometimes what we do to show people that we care, people don't always get. People don't understand. I remember hearing from somebody talking about how their dad never said that they loved them, but yet every time they went on a trip, they made sure that the oil was changed in the car, there was gassed up, the tires were pumped, and it was clean and ready to go. Like their dad cared for them, but they didn't say it much. But dad showed in different ways. So there is a connection with that as well.
And then there was a children's quote that you used, and I always wonder if these are like real children or just what adults thinking they would like to hear children say. Nonetheless, it was really good, and it was, if you don't love someone, you shouldn't say that you do. But if you do, you should say it all the time, or something to that effect.
Yes, because people forget.
I thought that was good. Yeah, that was really good. I think we might skimp on telling people that we love them sometimes.
Well, there's the phrase that I've heard many times from my husband's joking around. Well, I told my wife I loved her once. If that ever changes, I'll let her know. Like, no, we need to express that. We need to say that we love them, and we need to not just say it because to say it. Like, oh, I said I'm leaving the house. I'm going to work. Bye, honey, I love you. Like, you're not just saying it because you need to say it, but you're saying it because it's true and it's important.
I think, and I suspect that there's still a lot of people who don't hear those words very often. I grew up constantly. My parents said they loved us and showed that they loved us often. But if I talk to them about their parents, in fact, we talked about this last week, they didn't hear until very late in their lives, hear their parents say, I love you. Yeah. And for me, that's just like, wow. I mean, you go all the way to adulthood and never hear your parents say, I love you. Now, it doesn't mean that they didn't have loving parents, just different culture, different time. It wasn't said as much, but I'm thankful that, you know, with the generation of my parents, that became a very common thing, which we've then carried on to our kids and our families, which is really good.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. Let's use the words as much as we can, but let's not make them something that's just rote. Like it actually means something, and to do that, so there has to be then actions behind it, right? Like, you know, every time I open up my sock drawer and there's socks in there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love my wife. Like, she loves me because she knows how much I don't like doing that, but just they're there.
Now, what a
gift that is to me.
What if your family was constantly going into your sock drawer and always wearing your socks? Just hypothetically, what would that indicate? That they love you or that they don't love you?
Like they would take my socks?
Yes. Or let's say, just to use as an example, in my home, if I go in my sock drawer and everybody else always goes in my sock drawer and takes my socks, does that mean they love me or don't love me?
Depends. Are they going to use your socks, or they're like, whoa, they stink so bad when you
get rid of them? They're using them. I mean, in this hypothetical situation, they're constantly using them. Situation. Is that a sign of love, or are they just using me for my socks?
Maybe they just want to be close to you. I don't know. I don't know that hypothetical situation.
If you are looking for a worship service on Sunday mornings, we are here, 11 a.m., and we've got our masks and our social distancing and our hand sanitizer and our registration and all the things.
Yes.
We've got all the things that are needed. So if you don't have a place to worship on Sunday mornings, you are welcome to join us. There is a registration link in the description, so check it out.
Yeah, please come and join us. We would love to have you with us, and check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Links are there for you to follow and join in. If you've missed stuff from before, go back and check them out. And if you have any questions, please send them in to us, and we'd love to discuss them.
What about MySpace? Are we on MySpace?
MySpace? No, we're not on MySpace. It would be cool if we should make a MySpace page. I wonder if that still exists.
See if our producers are interested. Oh, I think we have a caller, Ryan.
We have a caller.
Why don't you see who it is?
Hello? Anyone there?
And then somebody's on the phone, you could like dial while they're on the phone.
Oh, that's great when someone else picks up on the phone.
Yeah. Or somebody in the other room of the house, and they were listening.
Like, no, I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
No, I'm on the phone.